Shabbat Shalom. So nice to have all of you here on this Erev Shabbat. It is technically still Shavuot, so it is also Chag Sameach. Shavuot will end at sundown, and it's so dark outside that it really could seem like it's happening now because of the storms and rain all day, but still when the sun goes down. So still Chag Sameach. To hope that you had and are having a really meaningful and wonderful Shavuot, hopefully filled with some worship, with some dialogue, with some looking at the book of Ruth, since we're supposed to do that throughout the day. And of course, as is in our custom, having some really delicious dairy food at some point throughout the day. Also, maybe a nice blintz or some other sweet food. So hopefully we're able to do that. And then what a nice combo we have, because as Shavuot ends, it falls right into Shabbat. So it's a beautiful transition for us this evening. We are thrilled that you're here. Like I mentioned, Cantor Muchnick over there, if you don't know. No, it's you. I'm Rabbi Keller over here. I'm the one who's talking, and all the time, usually. And like I said, we're sure that you're here. We're going to have a beautiful Shabbat service, and we are going to have the pleasure of hearing from Anna Kozlansky, who is here with us. She is the CEO of the IMPJ, the Israel Movement for Reform and Progressive Judaism. So she is here in the house. She's sitting right there, actually. She's sitting right there. We're going to have the distinct honor and pleasure of hearing from her a little bit later in our service. Both Cantor and myself were able to have dinner with her just now and schmooze with her, and she's awesome. You're gonna love her, and you're gonna love what she's gonna talk about and how important it is to for all of us to continuously love and be connected and be one with Israel in particular right now. So she'll be sharing all of those very important words with us soon. Happy that you're here. Like I said a few times, make sure you have the right prayer book, because last night we had our Erev Shavuot service in here, and we were using weekday and festival books. So make sure that your prayer book says Shabbat on the cover. So if the cover of your book says weekday and festival, don't use that one. They might have been mixed in with some of the prayer books from last night. So check your prayer book. Please make sure the cover says Shabbat on it. If it does, you got the right book. Hello on our live stream. We think it's working, so we are thrilled that you've joined us as well. You can follow along virtually with our prayer book. Go to cbiboca.org, and in the top left corner, hit menu, and then hit services, and then scroll down a little bit, and there'll be a button that says a virtual prayer book, and you can pray along and chant along with us throughout our service that we're going to share together now. But before we begin the service, we have to light our Shabbat candles. So we're going to invite Susie Glatt, who a ritual chair, to join us to light the candles. We're on page 2. Page 2.
I'm going to do the reading. It's the hardest part of it.
Oh, you got it.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Now that Shabbat is officially in our midst, we can, of course, sweeten the presence of Shabbat within our space together in our community with the words of Kiddush, which can be found on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho me'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu vacharta viltanu kidashta mikol hamim Shabbat kodshecha be'ahava v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
So now that our candles are lit and we have enjoyed the sweet wine of Kiddush, we will continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, with bringing in the presence of the Shabbat bride and Kabbalat Shabbat with the words of Zamru from Psalm 98 at the top of page 16. Top of page 16. As we can officially bring in the Shabbat bride, we of course use the beautiful words of Lecha Dodi, the words that literally ask us to use the sentence, beloved, our bride, to come and meet us, to come greet us with Shabbat, lending these 25 hours for us to find better enjoyment, better joy, better taste of challah, better relationships with our friends and family, the even wine becoming sweeter in these 25 hours for us to spend together. And so we will officially be inviting this bride on pages 20 and 21. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we get to 9, we'll be standing up and facing the door to actually invite the bride into our space. Once again, 1, 2, 5, and 9. We continue on page 20 and 21.
Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamol v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmi'anu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet. Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu belecha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem lesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Continue now with Chatzi Kaddish, which can be found on page 26.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabba be'olmah divrachirute ve'yamlich malchute becha yechon v'yom mechon uv'chai dechol beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kari ve'imeru Amen. Yeheshmei Rabba Mevorach Ne'olam Lol Mehamaya Yitbarach Ve'ishtabach ויתפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעולמה, ואמרו Amen.
Continue now with the call to worship with Baruch Hu, page 28. Together we stand. אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמעותם ברקיע כרצונו. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 33. At the bottom, let's alternate paragraphs. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. 34-35.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue Ve'ahavta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, there's eternally Egypt, there's a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, Micha Mocha, our Song of Redemption, on page 40. We continue with the Amidah now on page 46, and together we stand.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav le'oshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim mechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar micha mocha bal gevurot umidom elach lech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'neheman atale hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We take time now for our own silent prayers, thoughts, and meditations, beginning here on page 52 through page 62. When you're finished, please be seated.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav. Ki ata melech hador, melech hador, lecho hashalom. Ki ata melech hador, melech hador, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. B'tom beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav.
We have this special treat, as I mentioned at the beginning of services, to have Anna Kozlansky with us in our congregation this Erev Shabbat. Anna is the CEO of the Israel Movement for Reform and Progressive Judaism, easier to say IMPJ, if you want to call it the IMPJ. In September of 21, she was chosen to replace Rabbi Gilad Kariv, who is now in the Knesset, as the Director General and CEO of the IMPJ. She is an experienced educator and a community organizer who, prior to her appointment, was the Director General, prior to the Director, spent the past decade as the IMPJ Deputy Director General, overseeing congregational educational units for Israel Reform Movement and strengthening the network of the Reform congregations in Israel. Listen to this. Under her leadership, the IMPJ more than doubled its number of congregations, which was 23 when she started. So 23 Reform congregations when she started. When she began in 2020, so now you know it's 2023, so do your math, that's 3 years later, from 23 congregations to 54 congregations. What's that? It took a decade. Anna's here, so we're going to say it took her 6 months. We're going to say it took her 6 months to do that because she's sitting right here in our congregation. She also served as the central shliach, if you know shlicha. If you know about the shlichut, this is the Jewish agency's many years attempt to bring Israelis into America, either Jewish summer camps or in cities all over the world. And so not only was she in that program, but she was the director of the Shlichut program. And so she held that position for many years. And then prior to that, she she served as a curriculum consultant for twinning programs in Tel Aviv and Los Angeles, and then she worked for several years prior to that with Melitz, which is the Institute for Reform Zionist Education, as a program director and facilitator for youth programs. She was originally born in Moscow, a child of activists in the Soviet Jewry movement, and at the age of 2, moved to Haifa. That's in Israel, by the way, people. And Anna and her husband, Arthur, and their 3 children live in Even Yehuda in Israel, and they're the founding members of Kehilat HaShachar, one of the IMPJ's newest congregations. So based on all that, I hope you realize she's a big deal, and we are very thrilled to have her here amidst us here at Congregation B'nai Israel, and please welcome Anna up to the bima to share with us some words.
Thank you for the very warm introduction, Rabbi Keller. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to start my words. Okay. Is it better? I want to start my words with actually posing a question to you. Raise your hands if you grew up in a Jewish community. Okay, just about everybody. Thank you for that. If I would have asked the same question in a Reform community in Israel, then a very small number of hands would be lifted up because and I will share you in a minute a very brief history of mine. Most of the people who join and become part of the Reform movement in Israel and the Reform communities in Israel did not grow up in a Jewish community setting. In fact, it's almost a coincidence that people join our congregations right in the recent years. So you've already heard from the rabbi. My family made Aliyah, immigrated to Israel from Moscow in the early 1970s, and for my parents, the only way to express their Jewish identity was actually to leave the Soviet regime and to make Aliyah to Israel. But they didn't know much. They weren't observant in Russia. And when we came to Israel, I grew up in Haifa in a pretty secular environment. Now, when you say secular in Israel, it's still being surrounded by the Jewish tradition, but not being part of a Jewish community or ever going to synagogue. I knew the Bible very well. I knew all the parashot of the Torah. For instance, I know that this Shabbat is Parashat Naso, and I'm going to say a few words about the parasha as well, but I never opened the Siddur. I didn't know how to pray. Things that might be very almost taken for granted for you as Jews living in the diaspora, understanding that in order to maintain your own Jewish identity, you need to belong to a congregation, were not so taken for granted in Israel. So the first time that I've ever encountered Reform Judaism was in my 20s, when I was actually facilitating encounters between North American youth and Israeli youth. And they were supposed to be meeting, it was the summer vacation, and they were supposed to meeting for a week-long programming at Kibbutz Nachsholim in the center of Israel. And I remember my supervisor told me the first day that the American group was supposed to come, wait for the group in the parking lot. As they come out of the bus, make sure you greet them, and make sure you greet the rabbi. He's the leader of the group. So I waited for the bus. It was a hot, humid day, almost as humid as here in Florida. And I was waiting, and finally the bus pulls in, and the kids start coming down. I recognize the kids. They look exactly like Israeli kids, but they just speak in English. I recognize the counselors, the madrichim, and I'm looking for the rabbi. And I'm looking, and I can't find the rabbi. Why couldn't I identify the rabbi? Because in my secular Israeli mind, I was expecting to see an Orthodox rabbi. And it wasn't an Orthodox rabbi, it was a Reform rabbi wearing Bermuda shorts, wearing sandals, a very nice, cool rabbi. And that same day, we all sat and had lunch together. It was the first time that I heard, and the Israeli youth with me heard, the singing of Birkat HaMazon, the blessing that you say after the meal. The Niftyites, the Nifty kids, the youth, were singing it with their beautiful voices, and we were looking at them and said, wow, we never heard this blessing sung. We understood every word, but we never knew how to say or how to pray Birkat HaMazon. And I said to myself that this is something that I want for my Jewish identity. And from there, I started a journey of exploration and ended up being part of the Reform movement in Israel, working for the Reform movement in Israel, and shockingly enough, becoming the head and one of the leaders of the Reform movement in Israel. And if you look into the biographies of many of the leaders in the Reform movement and of many of the members of the congregations in the Reform movement, you'll find that it's a matter of choice. Their parents didn't make this choice for them. They made this choice as an adult. So of course, now we have children in our congregations and we have a youth movement. But the majority of the people who join our congregations are doing it because they're looking to belong to a community, or they're looking for a place where they don't need to pray with a partition, with a mechitza, and the women can recite Kaddish, and a mother can stand next to her son or her daughter when they're becoming Bnei Mitzvah. This is not something that we in Israel are taking for granted. And I'm emphasizing it particularly this Motzei Shavuot, because on Shavuot we read the book of Ruth, Megillat Ruth. In Hebrew it's called the Scroll of Ruth, because Ruth also made a choice. She did not grow up being part of the Jewish people. She made a choice to join the Jewish people. She said to Naomi, your people are my people, your God is my God. And it's amazing how from the story of Ruth actually became the dynasty of King David. It also shows that there are equal opportunities within the Jewish communities and within the Jewish people. It's a story of equality. And I'm mentioning that because this is also the story that we read in the parasha, this week's parasha, that is called Parashat Naso. It's the longest parasha in the Torah, and within that longest parasha in the Torah, the longest chapter is chapter number 7. Now, what's chapter number 7 is about? In chapter number 7, we learn about the gifts that each leader of the 12 tribes brings to Moses to put in the tabernacle. And it's very repetitive. Apparently, each leader of the tribe, each one of the Nesi'im, is bringing the same gift, bringing silver and many other things, but they're all the same. And there's a repetition there. So 12 times they're saying that the leader of the tribe of Dan brought a gift, and then the leader of the tribe of Yehuda brought the same gift, and so on and so forth. And we're looking at it and I was asking myself, why is it so repetitive? Why do I need to know? Why didn't they just write, well, they brought the same gift, all of them together? Because I think that the message is, again, of this parasha and of this story is a message of equality. We know that there were stronger tribes and there were weaker tribes, but here they wanted to show that all the tribes are equal and that there shouldn't be a competition between the people of Israel. There should be transparency. We know exactly what every tribe leader brought, but we also know that they were equal, and they didn't want to have rivalry at that time. And the message of equality is also important when I'm thinking about our movement. So in Israel, a lot of the work that we are doing is a lot of it is fighting for equal opportunities for our movement. Sometimes there's discrimination. There's no separation between religion and state in Israel, which might be a very good thing for a Jewish state, because that's how the country says we'll provide for religious services. But the reality is that the religious services that the country is providing for are mostly Orthodox. So we really want to make sure that we, the Reform movement and the Conservative movement and other liberal movements, get an equal opportunity. And precisely because of that, the idea of equal opportunity, the idea that the state of Israel should give equal rights to all streams of Judaism and to all people in general. It's actually written in the Declaration of Independence. I just want to quote from it. It says that the state of Israel will be founded on the foundations of freedom, justice, and peace in the light of the vision of the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. That's written in the Declaration of Independence. And you know how you say in Hebrew the Declaration of Independence? You say Hatzharat Ha'atzmaut, but actually, because it was written on a scroll, like the scroll of the book of Ruth, like the scroll of the book of Esther, like the scroll of the other Megillot. It is called Megillat Ha'atzmaut, the scroll of independence. So in the Israeli Jewish mindset, there's something holy about Megillat Ha'atzmaut. So if it's a holy book or if it's a holy scroll, then the text should be holy as well. And the morals in Megillat Ha'atzmaut, in the Declaration of Independence, should be holy as well. Especially the verse that I was just quoting from. And many of the basic laws in Israel there's no constitution, unfortunately, but there are basic laws. And the basic laws protecting human rights are based on the Declaration of Independence. And that is why our movement in the last 21 Motzei Shabbatot, in the last 21 ending the Shabbat, would go to the street and protest. How many of you have heard about the protests going on in Israel? Okay, so you keep up with the news. So the idea is that now there's a government in Israel that wanted to pass reforms and to change the judicial system in Israel in a way that would subordinate the judicial system to the government of Israel, and that making no separation between the authorities, and that would hurt the human rights and the things that are written in the Declaration of Independence. So actually, when our movement and the people in our congregations are protesting, you see the Israeli flags, and we come with signs that are saying, in the name of Judaism, we will protect democracy. But in many, whether it's screened on a building or whether it's hung from a building, you see Megillat Ha'atzmaut. You see the scroll of independence, because we understand that this trial to change the judicial system would hurt the very basis that the Israeli state was founded upon. And for us, as a movement striving for equal rights and also for religious pluralism in Israel, it's essential. It's like breathing air. And if we don't go to the street and fight this really dangerous trial, we might be weakened as a movement. So on one hand, as Rabbi mentioned here before, the story of the reform movement in Israel is a success story. We were a relatively young movement. We were founded in the 1970s of the previous century. We more than doubled the amount of our congregations. We have a pre-army wonderful program where we get 90 young adults join our program, our leadership program every year. We have a youth movement. We have a summer camp. We have 120 Israeli ordained rabbis at the HUC campus in Jerusalem. And those rabbis are entrepreneurs. They're building our congregations. They're really wonderful community organizers. But we're also feeling that much of our achievements are now in danger. Our conversion program, which is recognized by the State of Israel, people who choose to be converted through our movement are recognized and registered as Jews. And many, many other achievements that we were able to fight through and win actually at court, and thanks to the Supreme Court, are now in danger. We are, I want to say that we are also hopeful, because these protests actually started to work, and the Prime Minister of Israel declared that he's going to freeze the judicial legislation for now, and there are talks at the president's house all the time between the coalition and opposition, trying to reach an agreement and protect our democracy. So I do want to end my words here with a hopeful message, saying that we will not despair. Despair is not a work plan. And I do think that Israel has been through rough times, and this is another rough time. And one of the things that really keeps me hopeful is actually the support that me and the other leaders in the reform movement in Israel feel from you, from the Jewish community outside of Israel. Caring, asking questions, writing letters to your government officials about what's going on in Israel, including writing letters to Benjamin Netanyahu, to the consulate, is something that we're noticing. It's something that we're appreciative of, and I'm sure it also helped us protect Israeli democracy. So thank you very much, Toda Rabba, and I hope that later I'll be able to answer more questions. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Anna, for being here, for taking the time to be here, for all the work that you did, are doing, and will do in hopes that we can figure it out so that the reform movement can be fully present in Israel as it is now, and not have to be worried about things being changed or altered, or situations changing from our comfort level of being able to just go and be part and go visit Israel and feel free to be a reform movement in Israel and go see parts of Jerusalem and go touch the Western Wall on the left side of the wall, but also be able to go to the southern excavation if you've been to the southern excavation, and to have a bar bat mitzvah at the wall with everyone together, with all the grandparents, with all the kids, with men, with women, and cheering and celebrating Israel, which currently is happening and which is in danger for that not being there. And so our awareness and our vigilance and our learning about what's happening in Israel will continue to be strengthened. And so thank you for all that you do on the ground there, which I don't know how you do what you do, but we very, very much appreciate it. Not only the work there, but also, like I said, for just taking the time to be here with us in our congregation. We have these hopes and love and connections to Israel, and so we take those hopes and those connections as a congregation, like we do every time that we have a moment to do so, and that is to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, a physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. Here at this moment at CBI, we are thinking of Annie Rosenfield, Abigail Menjivar, Asher Ben Karen Fay, Barbara Newmark, Bonnie Kleinman, Daniel Bernstein, David Field, Dr. Elise Karnick, Evelyn Greenfield, Gary Baker, Gary Bandel, Gary Kane, Harav, Avraham Ben Yehudit, Howard Kleinberg, Howard Rosenbluth, Ira Kafka, Itzachana, Bella Bat Rivka, Janet Cohen, Diane Brownick, Yael Bat Sarah, Stuart Benson, Cheryl Cutler, Joanne Permit, Harry Moran, Carol Porwich, Elliot Porwich, Giovanni Shimbari, Randy Hirschhorn, Sarah Bat Rebecca, Stephen Tenner, Joan Seidman, J.R. Morano, Lillian Bushell, Lillian Rosenblatt, Marie Allen, Mark Davis, Naomi Kirstein, Rachel Bat Shoshana, Rena Fields, Richard Rosenbluth, Richard Shankman, Diane Spiro, Robert Kay, Shari Martin, Shayna Call, Shirley Kafka, Sloan Kasten, Tova Gold, Tova Batsarov, Ariel Lev, Zahava Golda, Bat Nechama, Lisa Bonner, Ryan Seidman, Stanley Geddes, Eric Kupferberg, Beth Spector, Savary Shambari, Roy Schwedelson, Elka, Kayla, and Miriam Sarah But Gittel Tova. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time.
Shoshana Malkabat, Sima Golda, and Mark Recklin.
We continue with Mishaberach 253.
May the source of strength
We have some announcements for you on behalf of the congregation. Pleasure to invite Renee Nadel, past president of our congregation, to share the announcements with you. Yeah, this is very exciting.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Welcome to people who've been here a long time. Welcome to people who are here tonight for the first time. Welcome to people who have been here before and have come back. It's good to see you all. Did you all get the tingles? I hope you did. That's what this place is about. Get the tingles. We thank you both, Rabbi Cantor, for a beautiful service, and Anna, wow. What a pleasure to have you here. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your words, all that you do with us here at Congregation B'nai Israel. So, so special. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I give you some of the announcements, I would like everybody to do one thing for me. You all face this way. However, there is a magnificent thing right back there. Turn around and take a look at that stained glass window. We never see it because we are facing forward. It is the most beautiful thing I didn't want you to miss it. I just wanted you to see it and appreciate it because we tend not to see it. We tend to look this way as we should, but it is beautiful and it's part of who we are. And I'm glad you turned around to look, so thank you. What else do I need to tell you? Tomorrow morning, our Torah learning service, of course, 8:30 in the chapel. We do have construction going to start. We have been waiting for this for a very long time, but we have a little bit of inconvenience before we get to the good stuff. We are going to finally have our new guardhouse. We are going to be entering Congregation B'nai Israel through the Greek church. That is how we get here. Once you're here, we'll worry about how you leave. There will be a book club. Be a book club. If nobody has been part of that, it's wonderful. I have been doing it for a very long time. It's June 15th, 7 o'clock on Zoom. The book that we're reading is Last Summer at the Golden Hotel. I recommend it to all of you. Come and join us on Zoom. And of course, we have Sharon Landau's Mahjong Club in the chapel Tuesdays at 6:30 and Thursday at 10:30. It's open to anybody, whoever would like to come. I wish you all a wonderful Shabbat, a wonderful week. Harry and I will be gone for a few months this summer, and I will miss you and this place and our clergy, and I can't wait to come back. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much. I love when Renee does the announcements because it like comes off the page. You know, she just like read it here and be like, on behalf of this, I want to invite you to there's a service tomorrow at 8:30, and come here and there's construction and it's going to be great and Shabbat Shalom. Like she like brings it to life. She like takes the announcements page, which by the way I'm sure everyone. I did, by the way, growing up. Nothing made me happier when someone came up to do the announcements because that was the end of services. I'm just kidding. That was like, oh, now the announcements. It's like another 10 minutes before I have a cookie. It has like the whole thing. But it's so nice because when Renee does it, it's like, I want to hear the announcements because Renee's doing the announcements as opposed to like, his announcements are going to come in at 8:30 tomorrow and we have the service. It's just blah, 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 blah. A couple of other announcements. Also, in her beautiful demeanor, she really beautifully explained our construction. She made it sound incredible. It is going to be incredible when it's done, but I will not sugarcoat the fact that it's not going to be pleasant to drive through. The entrance will be closed. So there'll be no actual entrance into CBI. You're going to have to pass CBI and turn into the church. That will be open, and you go around, and then the parking lot is our parking lot. So you're going to go right into our parking lot like you normally do. And when you go out, you're going to have to go out of the church too. So you can't even go out of CBI. No entrance, no exit. So she made it sound incredible. Like the construction's going to be gorgeous, and you're going to love every second of it. But it's not going to be so great.
It'll be seamless. Don't worry.
It'll be seamless. It'll be 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, it is not going to take 2 weeks, but yes. So just so you know, another very important thing is that next week we have services, of course, Friday night, but next week, Shabbat morning, everyone be here, please. Next Shabbat morning at 10 a.m., our adult Banot Mitzvah are going to be here. So 4 incredible women are going to be coming adult Bat Mitzvah here at 10 o'clock next week. It's going to be fabulous. One of those women is actually here right now in the sanctuary. I'm not going to embarrass her, but she's here and she knows that I'm talking about her right now, that I'm not going to embarrass her. And I'm not even like making major eye contact so that she doesn't even notice and no one notices who she is, but she's one of them. And so we hope that you'll be able to join us for a wonderful service that will be here next week for women who have been working really hard all year to prepare for the service. So that's, I think, all the announcements. Yes? Yes. He didn't even say yes. He just nodded his head. Aleinu. page 282, and together we stand.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We transition now to, in a moment, to Kaddish Tom, to Mourner's Kaddish, in the for our yortzites that occur for us this week. We think of Hilda Zeller, Beatrice Walter, Mort Kushner, Margot Engel, Richard Reiner, Lori Kastacher, Benjamin Nussenchuk, Jack Scher, Rabbi Nathan Bark, George Silverstein, Beatrice Walter, Jeffrey Sachs, Mark Forst, Irving Cohen, Joyce Zuskin, Morris Rosen, Albert Bernsweig, Bernard Schwam, Lori Ann Weisselbaum, Jack Adler, Harold Neuwirth, Saul Ryder, Oscar Poller, Gertrude Gonzer, Lenore Coogan, Ted Nahum, Selma J. A. Robert Lieberman, Annie Rosenberg, Donna Siegel, Donald Young, Helen Skillman, Dorothy Shear, Stanley Tamber, Laverna Yasmin, Morris Herman, Hyman Tanzer, Pauline Smith, Annette Edelman, Julius Eichholz, Ethel Rossler, Michael Begayer, Seymour Rosenbaum, Sorel Eglostein, Annette Cohen. Also, this weekend is Memorial Day, and so we also, on the Shabbat, take the names from the National Museum of American Jewish Military History and remember American Jewish casualties of Operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, and Freedom's Sentinel. And it's unfortunate that each time we're able to every time we read these names, there is a current list. And so this is the most current list as of May 2023. Specialist Daniel J. Agami, U.S. Army. Sergeant Howard P. Allen, Arizona Army National Guard. First Lieutenant David R. Bernstein, U.S. Army. Corporal Albert Bitten, U.S. Army. Sergeant Aaron C. Blum, U.S. Marine Corps. Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Michael Brodsky, U.S. Navy. Petty Officer, 3rd Class, Nathan Bruckenthal, U.S. Coast Guard. Technical Sergeant Anthony L. Capra, U.S. Air Force. Sergeant 1st Class, Christopher A. Solis, U.S. Army. Corporal Ryan J. Clark, U.S. Army. Corporal Michael R. Cohen, U.S. Marine Corps. 2nd Lieutenant Seth J. Dvorin. Lance Corporal Mark E. Engel, U.S. Marine Corps. Corporal Mark A. Evnin, U.S. Marine Corps. Private 1st Class Aaron E. Fairbairn, U.S. Army. 1st Lieutenant Daniel Farkas, U.S. Army. Sergeant Zachary M. Fisher, U.S. Army. Sergeant Jacob S. Fletcher, U.S. Army. Specialist Daniel J. Freeman, U.S. Army. Specialist Douglas Green, U.S. Army. Sergeant Foster L. Harrington, U.S. Marine Corps. Airman 1st Class Elizabeth Jacobson, U.S. Air Force. Lance Corporal Jeremy M. Kane, U.S. Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class SEAL Matthew G. Cantor, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant First Lieutenant Nathan M. Krisoff, U.S. Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant James M. Malkowski, U.S. Marine Corps. Private First Class Gebra M. Noonan, U.S. Army. Specialist Levi E. Nuncio, U.S. Army. Corporal Michael Aramis, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant Robert J. Paul, U.S. Army Reserve. Major Mark E. Rosenberg, U.S. Army. Corporal Dustin H. Schrange, U.S. Marine Corps. First Lieutenant Roslyn L. Schulte, U.S. Air Force. Captain Joseph W. Schultz, U.S. Army. Captain Robert M. Scher, U.S. Marine Corps. Specialist Mark S. Seiden, U.S. Army.
Airman First Class Matthew Seidler, U.S. Air Force. Staff Sergeant Michael Shackelford, U.S. Army. Private First Class Stephen Shapiro, U.S. Army. Sergeant Alan D. Sherman, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Chief Warrant Officer 2 Joshua Silverman, U.S. Army. Captain Benjamin A. Sclaver, U.S. Army. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Eric A. Smith, U.S. Army. Private First Class Eric D. Sufreen, U.S. Army. First Lieutenant Andrew K. Stern, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Michael Y. Tarlavsky, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant Peter Taub, U.S. Air Force. Private First Class Morris Walker, U.S. Army. Specialist Glenn Watkins, Washington Army National Guard. Technical Sergeant Timothy Weiner, U.S. Air Force. Sergeant Robert M. Weinger, U.S. Army. Specialist Jeffrey Wershow, Florida Army National Guard. Private First Class Colin J. Wolf, U.S. Marine Corps. Major Stuart A. Wolfer, U.S. Army. Sergeant Elijah Taiwa Wong, U.S. Army. Specialist Benjamin Ben Yehuda, U.S. Army. Senior Airman Jonathan A. V. Yelner, U.S. Air Force. And Lieutenant Miroslav Steven Zilberman, U.S. Navy.
To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time? Kaddish Yatom Mourners Kaddish 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash merabah v'almad yivrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabah mevorach leolam u'lamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala al shmei dekudesha brichu לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say amen. Please be seated. We're going to do Motzi for a second, and then we will continue with our closing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
We conclude with Shalom Aleichem 347.
Shalom Aleichem malachei hasharetz malachei elyon mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu boachem l'shalom malachei
ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. May God give strength unto our people, continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.